Hello, welcome back to Feelings Friday. Last week I took on the subject of pain. I explored pain as a symptom of healing, a sign that our physical and emotional selves that have been wounded in some way are regrowing and rebuilding themselves. And a couple of people responded after I put up the video and pointed out that for people living with chronic pain and chronic illness, pain doesn't function the same way. It's not a situational thing. It's more of an ongoing condition, and it doesn't always signify that you're moving towards a recovered or pain-free existence. And I was really glad to get these responses, get my own perspective broadened, and I really wanted to use this episode to make space for people that have a very different relationship to pain and to their physical and emotional selves. So I reached out to some friends that I know have these kind of conditions where they have chronic pain, chronic illness, and I asked them if they felt comfortable, if they would share some of their own work with me around the subject or point me in the direction of artists that are, making art around these subjects. And I am so grateful for the generosity of the responses. I got to read through some really amazing work this week. And reading through it, I realized just how much I take my own physical body for granted and how I have the luxury a lot of ignoring my body's needs. I can be on my feet 40 hours a week and, just kind of forget to drink water and wear shoes that aren't that comfortable. And it does add up over time, but for a long time, I can really ignore those physical needs. And there are many people that their physical selves really they don't have the luxury of ignoring those things. It's really more debilitating. So that was kind of my own response to it, and I want to lift up some voices around this work and just acknowledge that I personally cannot speak to that experience, but I would really like to use this as a channel, as a spotlight for people that are creating some art that we should really be listening to. There are millions of people in this country alone that live with what are referred to as invisible illnesses, meaning that, they might not have a physical signifier that they have a condition that impairs their ability to do things. They might not have a cane or a wheelchair or, a heart monitor or, any signifier that maybe they're in pain. They're dealing with something that we're not. So I hope it allows us to kind of open our minds and hearts and have some more compassion in general. Even if we don't entirely understand why someone has that handicap sticker, doesn't mean that they don't need one. So one of the people I reached out to is a beautiful human, a beautiful poet by the name of Erin Schick. I met her through the Portland Poetry Slam, and I've loved following her work for a while, and she put this poem on her Tumblr that I thought really beautifully addressed kind of her lived experience, and I will include the links to all of the things I read today at the bottom of the video. So, first off, I'm going to share this poem. It is called Pathogen. I have learned to live with the crawling, the thing growing where I cannot reach to tear it out. Longer than I have ever loved another person, I have lived with this alien. I don't know who I am without it. Or is that also a product of the illness? It started so slowly, like the serious ones always do, camouflaged by chaos. By the time I realized anything was wrong, it was impossible to tell when it began. To cut open a lifetime of thought, autopsy my memory in search of patient zero, the moment this body started supporting more than itself. I wonder if I cannot find the origin point, does my life still mean what I say it does? This body that is mine and not mine, can I speak about it honestly, as an expert? When the media comes, with its news trucks and awareness ribbons, when strangers are running marathons so doctors can afford to cut me open, make me alone again, scrub out this brain until I do not recognize its sterile walls, will I let them? How will I know they have taken what they were supposed to? How will I know the boundaries of myself? was Aaron Schick. Thank you for that. The next poem is called The Butterfly Effect by Gabby Jew. And this has some strong language in it if that's important for anyone to know going forward. The Butterfly Effect. Dr. House says it's never lupus. That motherfucker. My body is a volcano. For 8 years it has been screaming from the inside out. But you don't look sick, they tell me. The perfect emblem you perceive as healthy, shattered between teeth that grit behind smiles. Because you need me to wear my suffering, I'll sequin showgirl flattery for your assurance, sleeping beneath the comforter of invisible illnesses. The world has combined the words invisible and imaginary, as if appearance erases severity of being prisoner to your body. Lupus is not invisible. It is organ transplants, joints crippled, sleep deprivation for months, painkillers that only do so much. It is symptom after symptom, medication that makes you weaker, struggling to embrace this life sentence you are not guilty for. Lupus in Latin means wolf, named for the symptomatic skin rash, said to resemble the bite mark of a beast. It evolved to be seen as a butterfly, the way it spread crimson wingspan across cheeks, as if the wolf was too aggressive. We needed to turn its brutality into something graceful. My body is Mount St. Helens, ready to erupt without warning. I flinch at the words, flare up, punched in the face by reality that when it comes back, everything stops. In my last relapse, I had to learn to walk again. Bones brittle, muscles atrophied, 85 pounds, from days of sedation and intubation, prophecies of helplessness becoming real, memories scarring my brain to remind me that this is my life. About 96% of people who live with an illness have an illness that is invisible. Too many of us haunted by our own unheard voices. This is not a cry for help. We ask for your hearts and eyes to be open, for you to see us, uncloaked of our invisibility. Someone once told me I'm lucky I don't have something worse, like cancer is the only life-threatening disease people are familiar with. As I've laid in hospital beds, open as a wound, cold comfort, consolation that death could come soon, do not judge what you don't understand. Don't tell us we're too young to be sick. Young does not equal healthy. Don't tell us to push through it when our minds and bodies have reached breaking points. You don't know what it's like to wake up in this body, any more than I know what it's like to wake up in a healthy one instead. Instead, ask me what I'm doing. Embrace my shaking words and let them settle on your tongue. I don't want your I'm sorries and excuses of lost solace, but envelop me in loving support. There's a difference between pity and empathy. What I need is your sincerity, and sometimes silence speaks volumes. Okay, and then I have one more. This one is by Kamisha Jones, and it is called Ode to a Chronically Ill Body. This body is one long moan. My feet, a landscape of mines. My legs, 2 full pails of water I spill. The weight of my back, where the sharpest knives are kept. My hands, a scatter of matches, ready to spark into flame. This body is lightning, strikes the same place more than twice. This body is a fist, pounding its own hand. This body crumples like paper. I crumple like paper because of this body. This body just wants and wants and wants. This body says stop, says go, says stop, says run, says stop, says stop. This body is a stubborn traffic light stuck on red. This body will have what it wants, or it is blasphemous tantrum down every grocery store aisle. This body makes an embarrassment of me. This body is an embarrassment, then pleasure, then hunger, then defender, then defendant, then carriage, then coffin. This body is Tupperware, with its secrets sealed tight. This body scrapes and falls, then gets back up, again and again. It's all I got to get back up again. This body is an ocean of oil spill all over me. Thank you so much to all those poets. I think it's so important that we understand more what people are living with. It's easy to get locked into our own experiences. So again, I'm so grateful to everyone that responded to the last video and kind of pushed me in this direction. And now I'm going to play a song by a very well-known musician who lived with a variety of different conditions. Joni Mitchell had polio when she was younger. When she was older, she developed a disease, I think it's called Morgellons. I'll put that in the notes too. But it's a condition where the nervous system is attacked and where one literally feels one's skin crawling. She talks about not being able to wear clothes for days and not being able to leave the house and just being so severely confined in that condition. And I was kind of looking around because I've been a fan of hers for a long time, and I wanted to see if she'd written any songs specifically about her physical illnesses. But in how she talked about them in interviews and things like that, I really saw how they interwove with the emotional trauma that she's experienced too, and I think how she writes about them kind of speaks to her own understanding of pain through physicality and also through, the emotional trauma. So while I couldn't find a song that, really was specific to her physical conditions the way that these poems were, one of my favorite songs that she's written is called Little Green, and it's about the daughter that she gave up for adoption when she was younger. And I imagine that is a pain that never really goes away. This song just makes me, it kind of puts me in her life as songs and poems do, and I can't imagine, kind of going through these milestones, just thinking of a lost child and thinking about this would be their birthday, this would be a Christmas with them, this would, So I wanted to play this song as kind of a different experience of chronic pain, one that's, I guess, more emotional. So this is Little Green by Joni Mitchell. Cannot fade her. Call her green for the children who made her little green. Be a gypsy dancer. He moved to California, hearing that everything's warmer there. So you write and you tell him that her eyes are blue. He sends you a poem and she's lost to you, little green. He's a nonconformer, just a little green, like the color when the spring is born. Crocuses to bring to school tomorrow. Just a little green. So you sign all the papers in the family name. You're sad and you're sorry, but you're not ashamed. Little green, have a happy ending. Just a little green, like the color when the spring is born. There'll be crocuses to bring to school tomorrow. Just a little green, like the nights where the northern lights perform. There'll be icicles and birthday cones, and sometimes there'll be sorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in this week and last week and responding. Really grateful for this space and for you guys sharing it with me. Okay, see you next week.